Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. As usual, life could be a little bit miserable, life could be a little bit dark, so we're here to bring you as much light and as much joy as we possibly can. Listen, just like the famous game of the 90s, the really bad game of the 2010s, and the god-awful game of the 2010s actually got even worse, we're alone in the dark. I'm Bradley, and lovely, wonderfully edited in is Stu. How you doing, Stu?
I'm missing you very much, Brad. That's how I am at the moment. It's a shame we had to record separately because, you know, who wants to live without our bants, our mad bants? But hey, I guess people can cope for a week. I'm now in the position where I can sit back, relax, listen to what you're playing, maybe not concentrate as much, maybe not really pay much attention. No, I'm only kidding. It will be great to hear what you're playing this week, so take it away.
So we'll jump straight in with one of my games, unless Stu has decided to edit himself in first to make me seem really bad. Who knows? But it's just the games this week due to having to record separately. So first up for myself is a wonderful puzzler that I came about last week, and I got a chance to play it and just really enjoyed it, and that is called Is This Seat Taken? And the concept of this is just so simple yet brilliant. The idea is it's a logic game in many ways, you see. So I think they call the logic game Murdle now, and it is basically one of those who could have done this. You tick the boxes to work out who could have done things based on characteristics, that sort of thing. Well, this is kind of along those lines where you get given a seating plan. So you could be, for example, at a cinema. You've got a seating plan, and then you've got a bunch of people that want to go and sit in the cinema, and each of them has various requests. So you'll have the so-and-so wants to sit with so-and-so. This person doesn't like smelly people, and then you might have someone who's a bit smelly. This person wants to steal popcorn. This person wants to eat popcorn or is eating popcorn. And you have to kind of place people into what makes everyone happy to complete the level and move on. It starts off really simple. Like the first level is I want to sit next to a window. And it's like in a taxi. So you put the person in the taxi next to a window, move on. Then the other person then also wants to sit next to windows, you sit on opposite seats, and then it has various build-ups from that, and eventually get some really complicated but not stupid puzzles that you've got to get through in various different locations. And there's like a diner, there's a bus, there's a limo, there's a cinema, there's various other places. I think one's like a wedding and that kind of thing. And it's this really lovely, almost notebook hand-drawn aesthetic to it, which is it's just really fun to look at. Really done simplistically, but it encourages you to really look at who the characters are, and what they need, and how best to fit it. And it's very trial and error in not in you're just guessing kind of way. But it encourages you to go, right, this is what this person wants to place them here. Oh, actually, we might need to move this person, that kind of thing. Or just play around with it until everyone's happy. And there's no real fail state to the game. You can't really move on until it's all done. But it's not going, oh, you've got to put everyone in these exact perfect positions in this time frame or anything like that. You just go ahead, you complete it at your pace, move on. Absolutely wonderful. Played it on the Steam Deck and it played really, really well. You know, just short of a tenner. And I can't recommend this one enough. It's one of those puzzle games that you kind of look at it, just go, why is this not out before? Why have I not seen this properly before or done this well before? Because it's just so simple and so obvious. It just works really, really well. And I implore anyone who has any kind of interest in logic puzzles, whether that's, your Sudokus, your Picrosses or anything like that, just pick this up, have a go, and enjoy it. Next up from me is Football Manager. Not the new Football Manager, though. Been a bit clever with, well, not clever, a bit playing with words there. Because this is Kevin Tom's Football Star Manager, which is a re-release, remake, remaster, whatever. I don't know how you want to categorise this, of one of the earliest Football Manager games released back on the days of like the Spectrum and the Acorn and BBC and things like that. And Football Manager games, especially Football Manager as a series, has become ridiculously complicated these days with all the various training methods you need to do, keeping everyone happy, the way transfers work, and it's wonderful, but you can go so in depth that you waste your entire life to a season, and like some people can make that take forever. There's every element of the game, you know. For me, Football Manager is not just about being the manager. A lot of it is about looking, you know, it wants you to always be the director, the people behind the scenes, as well as the coaches, and it's just too much. I used to remember back on the day playing on my Spectrum various different games, and then maybe on the Mega Drive Premier Manager and things like that, LMA Manager on the PlayStation, that were very much pick your teams with a little bit of extra stuff there. And they were fun, they were quick, pick up and play. And Kevin Tom's Football Manager was one of the very first to do it. It is the most basic looking thing you will get to see. It's as though someone's written it in BASIC, and it possibly was written in BASIC initially. So all the teams, all the players are just like on a spreadsheet, just written. The names are written. Their skill level is written as a like out of 5 stars. Their fitness level, and then you know what they've actually done. You know, how many goals they scored, assists, appearances, that kind of thing. And it is just the most incredibly simple thing. You go into this, you pick 11 players. There's no subs, there's nothing. You look at your players and you kind of go, right, who's my top goalie in terms of skill level? What's their fitness? I then want a number of defenders. That's their skill level. That's their fitness. Midfielders, forwards. You don't pick any subs. Nothing like that. No in-depth to anything. And then you go, right, that's what I'm happy with. Let's play my league game. Play your league game, and it'll go on for simulated 90 minutes, and it'll go goal Owen, goal Drake, you know, and it'll tell you who scored for you, and then bang bang bang, you've won 3-0. At the end of that, it'll give you an option of maybe making a transfer. You can either bid or you can skip. You can put players, like literally simple as that. So you go, right, do I want this player? Yeah, bid. Okay, I've got them, or nope, don't want them. You can transfer list players, and it's just as simple as transfer list. And it puts a little T next to their name. If they're injured, they get a Y next to their name. If they've been picked to play, they get a little P next to their name. It is simple. There's a graphics engine for games. I don't bother with that. It is proper, really like old school looking. You know, you can tell it's been built on that era of computer. You can rush through a league campaign in an hour, 2 hours at most, really. It's just go through it, and it's just as simple as pick players based on your preferences, on their skill level, on their fitness, play through. You start at Division 4, you go all the way up to Division 1, and that's the game. You can go in, you can edit it, so if you really want to, hopefully someone else will do it at some point. You can pick it up. You could update all the players with the names of modern day teams, modern day players, if you really wanted to. Edit it to any English leagues, any Spanish leagues, Irish leagues, women's football, whatever you want, because it's just got that. It's so basic. It's just a case of going in and changing the names and the teams, and I think there's some colour editing in there, but it is absolutely outstanding. And for those who have been burnt out by the likes of Football Manager, Championship Manager, and the pay-to-win mechanics on a FIFA and stuff like that. This is such a breath of fresh air by just being super old, super original, and simplistic, but if it doesn't feel simple in terms of you feel like you can affect things with who you're picking. It's like, I've never been so excited just to see some black text come up. It's not even video printer style in terms of like added graphical stuff to it, but it is like, remember watching the old CFAX days of waiting for football results to come in. It is a joy. An absolute joy. It's been out on mobile for a bit in various guises. It works well on Steam Deck. It's not like compatible as such, but it works well enough. Yeah, a £5. You can't go wrong. Get it, play it, enjoy it. This is sometimes what you need. Last up for me is a game that I picked up because I thought it was something else. And I don't know what I thought it was, but it wasn't what I was expecting. But it was right in my wheelhouse. And that is Dead Take, which came out at the end of July. I picked this up last week. And it's a first-person exploration puzzle game with FMV elements. And yeah, so you are a person and one of your friends has gone missing in mysterious circumstances, and you have basically got to go and find them in this mansion. And it's like basically a giant escape room. Like you go in, it's like, well, you can't get in. What do you need to do? Oh, you got to find this, and they're like, oh, you need literally the first bit to get in is you need to get a pass to get in. It's an electronic pass that you have to scan on a gate. You have to go, oh, well, I can't get in, but I've got a phone and I've got my wallet. None of that works. So you go and test things. You find another room. It's like a security room. And you look at the computer and it tells you what you need. You go and find your path, which is slightly hidden. And then you need a code to get in and to put onto this path. So you need a code to activate it, essentially. And then you can take it back in. But you've got to work out how to get that code. You've got to do a bit of investigating. Then you get in and there's like these full motion video cutscenes that work really well with it. But it's normal computer generated stuff for like exploration and everything. You're walking around, you can look in drawers, cupboards, in things, read things, and it's almost taking elements of, say, a Sam Barlow game mixed with a little bit of contradiction, Spot the Liar, but in a more of a serious overtone to what you get in Contradiction. There's no Inspector Jenks there or anything like that. Ask you, do you know what that means? But it is corny enough that it's not just like, oh, I played it too seriously. But you do all your other bits and that's all there. Then you get it interspersed. But what I really found with it is that I didn't know what to expect. And then 4 hours later, I was like, oh, God, is that the time? I've just really been taken in by it. It's got the excellent Ben Starr. He's part of the cast for this. It's a really well done horror experience in terms of you can feel the fear within the characters. It's not a scary game. Again, I don't get scared by horror games or horror films as such. So I'm not one to go, oh my God, it's really scary. What it is, though, it's a fascinating story. It's a fascinating mystery. And it drew me in. And I say, you could sense the fear within characters. You could sense the worry about missing people and friends and things like that. Highly recommended if you like puzzle games, like solving things. If you like exploration games, like What Remains of Edith Finch or Gone Home, things like that. Ideal for people like that. And if you are a fan of FMV, there's plenty of that, and it's done really, really well. Played it on the Steam Deck, and it's absolutely spot on the Steam Deck. And again, another one that's just priced really, really well. 12 quid without a discount. At some point, I imagine it'll be on a discount. But yeah, an absolutely fascinating game and well worth your time. Three really interesting games this week. Three absolute bangers that are all very, very different.
So the first thing I've been playing this week is a demo of a game called Razing Core, which is a vertical shooter, and it's for the Master System, the Sega Master System. Oh yeah, cutting edge technology. A very sort of under the radar console, mostly because it never really took off in North America because it was very easily defeated by the NES, and Nintendo just had a stranglehold at that point in time. But it was very, very big in the rest of the world and huge in Brazil. There's still a fairly burgeoning homebrew scene going on, and I have a bias towards the Sega Master System because it was the first console that I ever owned. I had home computers before that, like just little cheap ones, but it was the first console that I had proper. And yeah, you've got a special place in your heart for that, haven't you? You can't avoid that at all. I always loved the fact that it was so colourful. The graphics were so colourful. The palette was so nice. Really superior to the NES's colour palette. And even though it probably wasn't even quite as capable of a machine as the NES, the games tended to look more like their arcade companions. And yeah, let's face it, the NES had better games overall, but there were some absolute bangers on the Sega Master System. And one of those bangers, well, two technically, were the Power Strike games, which are Elest games basically. So there's a series of games called Elest that are vertical shooters, obviously, and they are excellent. Very similar to those, although not identical by any stretch, are the trilogy of games on the PC Engine: Gunhead, Superstar Soldier, and Final Soldier, which are all absolutely superb. Gunhead takes the biscuit for me, even though it's not the better of the bunch, but it just, I don't know, probably partly nostalgia, which normally I'm not I'm not normally taken in by, but I don't know. There's something about Gunhead that really gets to me. Absolutely superb game. And this is all in that wheelhouse, and is the developer, Badcomputer, has really taken the all the greatest points of that style of game and wrapped them up into a SMS package, which can't be a very easy thing to accomplish because it's not an extremely capable machine. However, this is starting to look really, really good. So you fly up the screen, obviously, and you're defeating installations and other enemies. And it kind of has it has the Elest feel. If you've ever played an Elest game, you know exactly what you're going to get. And if you've played Power Strike, it's very, very similar. Graphically, it's same sort of template, except the backgrounds on the demo aren't there, really. It's just a star field, but don't take that as a negative because it's looking really good. The sprite detail is really, really excellent. It has enough of its individual character to not just be a copy. And there are some nice effects. There's like a reflection effect on the top of some of the turrets, which is really nice. The level of detail and thought in the armament and the weaponry is very good. The colour separations are excellent, which helps you determine things against the backgrounds. And at the moment, it's going really, really well. I sort of chased him up on Blue Sky to say, look, buddy, I want this full game of this now. I was just kidding. Or am I? I want it now. So as soon as that becomes available, I'm going to be buying that full price. And so as soon as we see that, I'll give you more information. But the demo's really good. Check it out. The guy is called Adam. He's known as Badcomputer Zero on itch.io or itch.io, however you pronounce it. So check it out there. Download it. It's free. And then play it either on your original hardware or emulator of choice. The next thing I've got to speak about is another throwback and another shooter. As Brad said the other week, I'm eating well this year because I've got loads of 16-bit retro style games coming out, and this is another one of those, and it's called Earthion. It's just been released on Steam, well, within the last couple of weeks, and it's a horizontal side-scrolling shooter, which is my absolute favourite of those type, and it's a Mega Drive game, and there's a little bit of sort of semi-controversy around this, because it's been released on PC, on Steam, and on other formats before it gets its Mega Drive release. Now, next year, 2026, it will be releasing on the Mega Drive, released by Limited Run Games, and there's some disappointment that you're not able to get it at this point on its home, platform, which I can understand. But what people have done is they've managed to find that in the files when you download it from Steam, the full Mega Drive game is in there, and it basically, I believe, runs an emulator to play the game. Once original files are on and available, people are going to get them. So they've unencrypted them, and you can play it on Mega Drive hardware. So as soon as I found this out, I was like, well, I've got to own this game. So I paid for it on Steam, and I grabbed hold of the ROMs so that I could play it on my Mega Drive. I've not been able to, but I've been able to play it on an emulator. I'll tell you for why. Because the file of the game is so big. It's around sort of 40 or 50 megabytes, I think. So probably, the biggest Mega Drive game that's ever been created. And the cheapo kind of multi-cart ROM device that I use on my Mega Drive won't handle it. You need a Mega Drive, like an EverDrive Pro or equivalent, to be able to do it, because it needs that size of RAM on the cartridge to be able to hold that ROM. Long story short, I played it on emulator, and the reason why I did that first rather than play it on the PC in Steam is because I could play it on my CRT, and that gets me as close to the original, in inverted commas, original Mega Drive experience as I possibly can at the moment. And just to say, this is a phenomenal looking game. It's like the best looking horizontal shooter on the Mega Drive by some considerable margin. And it's not just because it's got a massive amount of RAM. It's not just because they've used the modern SDKs to bring out all the best aspects of the Mega Drive. It's also the design of the ships, the design of the enemies, the design of the huge beasts that you encounter, and also the stylistic effects that they've gone for, the mix of colours, the way that it kind of gives you this impression of screen-filling nastiness, huge explosions, great big lasers, gigantic sprites of ships in the background, this feeling of being part of a massive fleet or flying as a tiny little unit around these tight, vicious caverns. Absolutely works. On top of that, the soundtrack is by really famous, well-known composer Yuzo Koshiro, hopefully getting that correct. And Yuzo Koshiro did some of the Streets of Rage music, Revenge of Shinobi, the East series. Is an absolute legend. And the soundtrack in this is phenomenal. Gameplay-wise, shooting-wise, you've got two weapons, a main and a subsidiary on two different buttons. Well, it's more like you have two shooting styles within each type of weapon you have, if that makes sense. So you start off with a regular shot, and you fire the regular shot along with a subsidiary at the same time. And, that might be a two-way shot, it might be laser shot, it might be missiles, might be bombs, that sort of thing. You have two slots, and you can switch between two different weapons. And one of the big differences that you get in this game is that you can, switch them frequently. You can build up the power of those by collecting gems that are released by shooting other ships, shooting the enemy ships. But also your shield will regenerate over time. So you have shield on your ship, and it starts off with two slots, and you can increase that, which is another good thing of it. So not only do you have two different slots for two different you can choose the weaponry you have and make it as useful to the situation as you can. You can also, towards the end of the stage, you can block off one of your slots and relinquish it. And what that will do is when you if you manage to complete the stage without losing this little unit thing that you've collected, you then get the option to turn that into either an extra weapon slot, to bolster the weapons you already have, to turn it into a special weapon. Gives you the choice, and it's a really, like, it's a bit of a game changer. It's a really powerful, option that you're given. And, sort of further to that gameplay wise, it's more in the sort of speedy scrolling, intense feel of a UN Squadron like arcade game, or its sequel Carrier Air Wing, more like Thunder Force 4, more like that sort of speedy style of horror shmup, kind of like Airbuster, as well, that kind of thing, rather than your Einhanders, your R-types, the things that are a little bit, Gradius to a certain degree as well, sort of slightly more slower and more considered and more heavily, I'd say, you have more heavy weapons in those games, but you're more of a glass cannon in them as well. You need to build up a huge arsenal and then retain it, otherwise you're getting nowhere. Whereas this, it's pitched at more of a kind of, you can collect weapons fairly quickly. Yes, you need to beef them up, but having shields and having the ability to pick things up mid-level again, that gives you a bit more of a chance. Now, this doesn't make it easy. It's bloody hard. Like, I've been playing it on normal, and I've managed to get to the final, what I think is the final boss, using all my credits. So you have a limited set of credits. There are 3. And you can adjust the number of levels per credit in the options. But yeah, got to the last boss, but got monstered because the last 2 levels are really brutal, very, very difficult. But I'm not sure whether to say they're a little unfair. They're very arcadey, so possibly a little bit too unfair, to be honest. But maybe I'm just crap and I'm making excuses. But even so, even with them being ridiculously difficult, final couple of stages, they're still pretty well balanced apart from a couple of spikes. It's such a phenomenally fun type of game. It's the best horizontal shooter I've played for a good few years now. And yeah, it's really, really excellent. I'm definitely going to be buying the game, even though it's from Limited Run, who are a bit dodgy. I really am going to try and get hold of the Mega Drive cartridge, the actual proper one, when it releases next year, because it's just excellent. And look at some videos, just imagine that running on an actual Mega Drive. Your jaw will just drop to the floor. So yeah, that's it from me, really.
And with that, unless Stu's got any more, I'm going to be quiet now and let him do his thing. Bye-bye.
No, I am donezo. So, as usual, follow us on all the socials. Make sure you check out our content on the website. Join us on Discord if you want to chat. And apart from that, until next week, when hopefully me and the other one are rejoined, stay safe and stay sane.